Max Verstappen crosses the finish line and steps onto the podium, there's this massive Moët Chandon bottle with golden letters that basically scream luxury at you. The trophy doesn't just get handed over either, it emerges from this absolutely gorgeous Louis Vuitton trunk. Even the timing displays have changed. TAG Heuer has completely replaced that familiar Rolex screen you've been staring at for over a decade. What you're actually witnessing is the result of one of the most audacious corporate takeovers in sports history. The man behind it all? A 75-year-old French billionaire, Bernard Arnault. But how did he end up owning 75 luxury brands while orchestrating one of the most comprehensive sport takeovers in modern history? Welcome to the story of how Louis Vuitton conquered Formula One.
Lovely like that. Boom, good to see you.
The modern era of Formula One sponsorship kicked off in the 1970s, when tobacco companies discovered something revolutionary. Racing cars were basically the perfect moving billboards. Unlike boring, static adverts or those brief TV commercials that everyone skips, Formula One offered something absolutely unprecedented. Hours of high-definition exposure to millions of viewers worldwide, with logos traveling at 200 miles per hour. Marlboro were the pioneers, splashing their iconic red and white livery all over McLaren cars. However, they weren't flying solo on this one. John Player Special turned Lotus cars into these sleek black and gold bullets that became as famous for their looks as their speed. Hamel's yellow made Lotus and later Benetton cars look absolutely mint, while Rothman's distinctive blue and white made Williams instantly recognizable from any angle you looked at them. By the 1980s, some Formula One teams were getting up to 80% of their entire budget from a single tobacco sponsor. The sport had become financially dependent on an industry that was simultaneously getting absolutely hammered by health authorities worldwide. The tobacco era created something that still defines Formula One today: the understanding that the sport could sell lifestyle, not just speed. The cigarette companies had figured out that Formula One could make their products aspirational, associating them with victory. However, the writing was well and truly on the wall. As public health campaigns got more intense and governments started restricting tobacco advertising left and right, Formula One faced a proper existential crisis. By 2006, tobacco advertising was officially banned from the sport. The golden goose that had funded Formula One's growth for 3 decades was gone, leaving teams absolutely scrambling for new sources of revenue. Some teams got creative in their final tobacco-sponsored years, though. Ferrari famously ran these barcode liveries that subtly reminded you of Marlboro's red and white without actually showing cigarette branding. It was this proper cat and mouse game between regulation and recognition, proving just how valuable that visual association had become. As the smoke cleared from Formula One circuits, other industries rushed in to fill the massive void that was left behind. Technology companies were natural early adopters, really. Compaq and HP slapped their logos across Williams cars in the late 1990s and early 2000s, recognizing that Formula One's cutting-edge image aligned perfectly with their products. Vodafone's partnership with Ferrari became one of the most successful non-tobacco sponsorships of the era. The telecommunications giant's red logo looked absolutely perfect on Ferrari's scarlet cars, and the partnership lasted over a decade. The alcohol industry also saw a massive opportunity in Formula One's glamorous image. Martini's association with Williams brought this sophisticated James Bond-esque elegance to the sport that just felt right. Johnny Walker's partnership with McLaren emphasized the premium nature of both brands. Heineken's later involvement as a title sponsor showed how alcohol brands could use Formula One to project this cosmopolitan, celebratory image. However, perhaps most significantly, this era saw the rise of energy drink marketing through Red Bull's absolutely revolutionary approach. Red Bull didn't just sponsor a team, they bought 2 teams outright, transforming from beverage company to racing powerhouse. The energy drink wars that followed saw Monster Energy partner with Mercedes, creating this rivalry that extended far beyond the beverage aisle. The 2010s marked Formula One's full emergence into the digital age, and with it came this new wave of sponsors that would have been absolutely unimaginable during the tobacco era. Silicon Valley tech giants, financial technology companies, and digital platforms discovered that Formula One's high-tech image and global reach made it the perfect vehicle for reaching both business-to-business and consumer audiences. Oracle's partnership with Red Bull Racing was a proper example of this trend. The database giant didn't just put their logo on cars, they became integral to the team's performance through data analytics and cloud computing services.
slap it into third gear, rev it into fourth.
Amazon Web Services' involvement with Formula One itself, rather than individual teams, showed how tech companies could enhance the sport's actual product. AWS powers many of the real-time statistics and predictive analytics that modern Formula One broadcasts display, making them not just a sponsor, but a fundamental part of how fans experience the sport. SAP and CrowdStrike's partnerships with Mercedes demonstrated how enterprise software companies could use Formula One to showcase their capabilities to potential corporate clients. This period also saw the rise of cryptocurrency and fintech sponsorships as digital financial services sought legitimacy through association with Formula One's precision and trustworthiness. These partnerships often faced skepticism from traditional racing fans. However, they reflected Formula One's evolution into a platform for emerging industries to establish credibility. The success of Drive to Survive proved that Formula One could be packaged as premium entertainment, not just sport. It showed that the paddock fashion, team dynamics, and cultural elements of Formula One were as compelling as the racing itself. For luxury brands watching from the sidelines, this was a proper revelation. By the late 2010s, Formula One had completely transformed its image. Where once it was this niche motorsport with a specific demographic, it had become a global entertainment platform with massive reach across diverse audiences. This transformation set the stage for something absolutely unprecedented: the entry of luxury fashion houses into Formula One. The first serious incursion came from an industry with obvious synergy with motorsport: luxury watchmaking. The precision, timing, and mechanical excellence that defined both Formula One and high-end timepieces made this partnership seem absolutely inevitable, really. Rolex led the charge, becoming Formula One's official timekeeper in 2013. Their green logo became a fixture on timing screens and trackside barriers, while their association with precision timing reinforced both their technical credentials and their luxury positioning. For over a decade, when Formula One fans thought about time, they thought about Rolex. Simple as that. Richard Mille took a completely different approach, focusing on individual driver partnerships rather than sport-wide sponsorship. Their ultra-exotic timepieces, some costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, found their way onto the wrists of Formula One drivers both on and off track. While watches were establishing luxury's presence in Formula One, the fashion industry was taking more tentative steps into the sport. Initially, these partnerships focused on team uniforms and official apparel rather than racing sponsorship, which was probably the sensible way to go about it. Hugo Boss had this long-standing relationship with McLaren, designing the team's formal wear and creating a sophisticated business-like image for team personnel. Later, Boss moved to Mercedes, bringing the same aesthetic of German precision and elegance to the most successful team of the 2010s. Tommy Hilfiger's replacement of Hugo Boss at Mercedes marked an interesting shift toward more youth-oriented, lifestyle-focused fashion partnerships. These early fashion partnerships were relatively conservative, though, focusing on professional attire rather than racing gear or consumer marketing. However, they established important principles. Fashion brands could enhance Formula One's image, and Formula One could provide fashion brands with a platform for global exposure. But all of these partnerships couldn't even come close to what Bernard Arnault had in mind for Formula One.
We have been always close to sport, because sport has values that we share.
Born March 5th, 1949, near the border of France, Arnault grew up in post-war prosperity. He pursued engineering at École Polytechnique, one of France's most revered schools, with infamously tough entry requirements. After graduating in 1971, Arnault joined his father's construction firm, but he had much bigger ambitions. Real estate caught his eye. After years of persuasion, he convinced his father to sell the construction side and focus on luxury vacation homes. By 1976, he had timeshare properties, a new but absolutely lucrative sector. By 1979, the 29-year-old was president of the family business. However, when François Mitterrand's socialist government began nationalizing industries and implementing policies that made business growth difficult, Arnault made a bold move. He left France for America. It was during this American exile that Arnault had his epiphany about the power of brands. Legend has it that the first taxi he hailed in the US had a driver gushing about French culture. When Arnault asked if he could name the sitting French president, the driver couldn't. "But I know Christian Dior," he replied. This moment crystallized something absolutely crucial for Arnault. brands transcended borders, politics, and even logic. So, when the Boussac affair erupted in France, Arnault saw his opportunity. Marcel Boussac's textile empire, which included Dior, was going bankrupt. The French government, previously hostile to entrepreneurs, suddenly needed a savvy businessman to save jobs and preserve French cultural assets. Arnault returned to France and bought Boussac's discounted empire for $60 million, $15 million from his own pocket, the rest financed. But everyone knew he wasn't really interested in textiles. He wanted Dior, the brand his mother had loved, the brand that American taxi drivers recognized. The transformation was brutal, but absolutely brilliant. Arnault shed the disposable diaper division, closed inefficient factories, and laid off thousands of workers, moves that still generate resentment in affected regions.
In a business which is successful, you should never be satisfied.
But he turned a bankrupt company into a profitable luxury powerhouse, earning $112 million on revenue of $1.9 billion. With Dior secured, Arnault set his sights on the ultimate prize, LVMH, formed from the merger of Louis Vuitton and Moët Hennessy. What followed was one of the most audacious hostile takeovers in corporate history. Arnault took advantage of internal feuds between Louis Vuitton's Henri Recamier and Moët Hennessy's Alain Chevalier, who were locked in a bitter rivalry. Chevalier's secret deal with Guinness triggered a corporate war, and Arnault seized the chance to outmaneuver both sides. He strategically bought shares and played them against each other, ultimately gaining control of LVMH by 1989, forcing Recamier and Chevalier out. With LVMH under his control, Arnault began implementing what would become known as the LVMH method, a unique approach to luxury conglomerate management that would revolutionize the industry. Unlike traditional corporations that sought synergies and cost-cutting through integration, Arnault did the complete opposite. He kept his brands separate, allowing them creative independence while providing them with resources no individual brand could achieve alone. The strategy worked absolutely brilliantly. LVMH's revenue exploded from 10 billion euros in 2001 to almost 100 billion in 2023. Brand after brand fell into Arnault's orbit: Marc Jacobs, Sephora, Bulgari, Tiffany & Co. But by 2024, Arnault faced a new challenge. Even the super rich have limits. According to luxury industry experts, the ultra-wealthy were starting to buy fewer luxury items. Why buy another expensive trunk when you already have 10? To continue growing, LVMH needed new customers. It needed to go mainstream. We're also trying to go mainstream with Revved Up and get to 30,000 subscribers by the summer break. So if you liked the video so far, don't forget to subscribe.
To show through the Olympics to the world that France as itself is a creative country.
LVMH's journey into sports sponsorship has been strategic and gradual. One of LVMH's earliest and most prominent engagements was in tennis, tapping into the sports association with sophistication and elegance. LVMH also expanded its presence into sailing, becoming synonymous with the Louis Vuitton Cup. This prestigious regatta, which acts as a precursor to the America's Cup, was a perfect fit for the brand's image of luxury and refinement. As LVMH moved into the 2010, the company took a more deliberate and calculated approach to its sports sponsorships. Soccer was one of the key areas where LVMH began to make its mark. Through its connections with the Qatari ownership of PSG, LVMH helped elevate the club's status, reinforcing its luxurious image by leveraging its other high-end brands, which were used for the team's VIP experiences and fashion-related partnerships. In addition to football, LVMH extended its reach into rugby. The company began sponsoring major rugby events such as the Rugby World Cup, capitalizing on the sport's prestigious and global appeal. That's when Arnault had his next breakthrough insight. The future of luxury wasn't just about catering to the ultra-rich. It was about making luxury aspirational and accessible to a broader audience. LVMH's sports offensive has begun. Louis Vuitton started crafting bespoke trophy cases, first for the FIFA World Cup, then the NBA Championship, then rugby's Webb Ellis Cup. Each trophy presentation became a Louis Vuitton advertisement, seen by hundreds of millions of viewers worldwide.
It takes about 6 months to make, which represents just over 100 hours of work. The precise outlining alone takes 15 hours.
The 2022 Louis Vuitton campaign featuring Messi and Ronaldo playing chess went massively viral, generating more engagement than traditional luxury advertising could ever achieve. The real breakthrough came with the 2024 Paris Olympics. LVMH secured a €150 million partnership that put its brands at the center of every celebration. Louis Vuitton crafted the medal trunks and torch cases. Sephora sponsored the torch relay. Chaumet helped design the medals. Berluti dressed France's opening ceremony performers. Industry observers were stunned by the scope. Every moment of celebration was somehow associated with LVMH brands. The Olympic success proved Arnault's thesis. Sports could make luxury aspirational to audiences that would never set foot in a Dior boutique. An Amazon worker in New Jersey might never buy a Louis Vuitton handbag, but seeing it associated with Olympic glory planted a seed of desire that could influence purchasing decisions for years. As LVMH's sports strategy evolved, one target stood above all others: Formula One. The sport offered everything Arnault was looking for: global reach, wealthy demographics, technological innovation. However, most importantly, an image of exclusive glamour that perfectly aligned with luxury brand values. But F1 already had entrenched sponsors. Like Rolex had been the official timekeeper since 2013. Various champagne brands had rotated through podium duties. Traditional automotive and technology companies dominated the sponsorship landscape. What Arnault needed wasn't just a sponsorship deal, he needed to orchestrate a complete takeover that would position LVMH brands at the very center of the Formula One experience.
Formula One in 2025 begins when the 5 red lights go out.
Like any master strategist, he didn't attack Formula One head on. Instead, he began with what military tacticians call probing operations, small, seemingly insignificant moves designed to test defenses. The first probe came in 2021 when Moët Chandon made a surprise cameo as F1's podium champagne. After decades away, the LVMH champagne house briefly returned during the 2020 season, then disappeared again as Ferrari Trento took over podium duties from 2021 to 2023. To casual observers, it seemed like a minor sponsor rotation, but in May 2022, when Formula One held its inaugural Miami Grand Prix, 2 LVMH brands quietly appeared. Tiffany & Co. designed the race winner's trophy, while Louis Vuitton provided custom trunks to hold them. This wasn't a coincidence. Arnault was using Miami F1's flashy new American venture as a laboratory to see how luxury brands could integrate into the sport's DNA. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Social media buzzed about this stylish trophy presentation. Fans appreciated the added glamour. However, most importantly, F1's leadership took notice. The third probe came at the Las Vegas Grand Prix in November 2023. LVMH's Moët Hennessy division became a major sponsor of the glitzy night race, with champagne flowing through VIP parties and appearing on the starting grid. By mid-2024, Arnault had all the intelligence he needed. F1 was ripe for conquest. Several major F1 sponsorship deals were approaching renewal in 2024, creating opportunities for new entrants. Most significantly, Rolex's contract as official timekeeper was ending after 12 years of dominance. Ferrari Trento's champagne deal was also expiring. On October 2nd, 2024, Formula One and LVMH issued a joint announcement. LVMH would become a global partner of Formula One for 10 years starting in 2025, in a deal reportedly worth over $100 million per year, a total approaching $1 billion over the decade. This wasn't the richest sponsorship agreement in F1 history, you can't beat tobacco dollars, but the announcement was timed perfectly, with F1's 75th anniversary in 2025, framed as an unprecedented agreement between the world leader in luxury and the pinnacle of motorsport. The real shock wasn't the size of the deal, it was the scope. LVMH hadn't just bought sponsorship, they had orchestrated a systematic takeover of F1's most prestigious branding positions. Louis Vuitton became the first luxury fashion house to title sponsor F1 races. The 2025 Australian Grand Prix became the Formula One Louis Vuitton Australian Grand Prix, while the Belgian Grand Prix was renamed F1 Moët Chandon Belgian Grand Prix. Louis Vuitton began crafting bespoke trophy trunks for multiple Grand Prix events, custom designed for each circuit. Every victory celebration would now literally be wrapped in Louis Vuitton luxury. Moët Chandon returned as F1's official champagne, displacing Ferrari Trento. To celebrate F1's 75th anniversary, Moët introduced special celebration Jeroboam bottles with bold branding designed to dominate television coverage. Perhaps most shocking was TAG Heuer's displacement of Rolex as F1's official timekeeper. But LVMH's financial muscle and TAG Heuer's historical F1 connections dating back decades proved irresistible. Hamilton's Dior partnerships, other drivers sporting Berluti sneakers, and even subtle LVMH accessories became part of race weekend narratives. The transformation was so comprehensive that fans joked about F1 becoming a luxury GP. Bernard Arnault's conquest of Formula One represents the culmination of a decades-long strategy to position LVMH at the center of global culture. Through patient planning, strategic intelligence gathering, and decisive execution, the Wolf and Cashmere achieved something unprecedented: the complete transformation of a major sports commercial identity. The 2025 Formula One season will be remembered not just for the racing, but as the moment luxury officially took over sports. After all, when you're the richest man in the world with an empire of 75 luxury brands, why stop at race sponsorships? Are we going to see a Louis Vuitton wrapped car soon? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.